of the campaign. Still, they do find time for interests outside of baseball. For many Expos, golf is a major pastime. This year, a dozen of them took part in the first Cooper Expos golf tournament at Pine Grove. Not surprisingly, I suppose, many of the golfing Expos make their homes in the warm weather spots, like California and Florida. Manager Buck Rogers, Bryn Smith, who hopes to play professionally someday and brought along his 5-year-old son Cody to help out in this tournament. Tim Wallach, who like Smith, brought along his son Matthew. Greg Nettles, Casey Candell, our own Expos Summer 88 coach Bobby Winkles all make their off-season homes in California, while pitching coach Larry Bernard and relievers Joe Hesketh and Andy McGaffigan live in Florida. All of that should have put hitting instructor Ron Hansen, who lives in Maryland in the off-season, at a distinct disadvantage. Joining the players on the course were the Expos equipment manager John Silverman, assistant trainer Mike Kozak, media relations director Richard Griffin, and Earl Tackleman and Richie Parker from Cooper. We never did find out what everyone shot, but we do know that pitcher Bryn Smith and fellow Californian Greg Nettles tied for first with 79s. For these guys, there's nothing like a round of golf to take your mind off baseball for a while. The Expos play their home games at night, except on Sundays, which are always matinees, leaving Sunday nights free, which meant Tim Raines, a big wrestling fan, was able to head down to the Forum to take in a Sunday night WWF card featuring his favorite, the Macho Man.
The WWF, what the world is watching.
We sent our camera along with Raines and friends, Greg Nettles, Nettles' wife Ginger and sons Jeff and Tim, Bryn Smith, and trainer Ron McLean to watch them watch the wrestling.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonsoir et bienvenue au Forum de Montréal pour un autre programme de la Fédération mondiale de lutte. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Montreal Forum for another exciting program.
The Rougeau brothers, a tag team from Quebec, delighted the partisan crowd by beating the Killer Bees. Now, you had to know that a pair of Quebecers would be favored over an American duo wearing Boston Bruin emblems at the Forum. The highlight for Raines and the other Expos came when they got to go backstage and meet the Macho Man himself, Randy Savage, a one-time minor league ball player, and his beautiful manager, Elizabeth.
I want to wear the belt. Can I get the belt, Mr. Jim Ray? Can I wear the belt? Jim? Can I wear the belt?
You want to wear the belt?
Yeah, I want to get the belt on. Is it all right?
Bad luck. Bad luck.
Oh, all right.
Give me up that bat. Steal second, I'll steal third.
They wouldn't let Raines wear the belt, but he did get to enjoy watching Macho Man do his thing from ringside seats. As far as Raines is concerned, that was a pretty good way to spend a Sunday night. 1979 was the year when the Expos really came into their own as a franchise. They opened the season by winning 15 of their first 20 games, including 11 out of 12 at the Olympic Stadium. That got them going, and they would stay in the battle for the division title till the last day of the season. One reason was their tremendous record at home. They were almost unbeatable at the Olympic Stadium, winding up with 56 wins and 25 losses. It is interesting that their Olympic Stadium success coincided with the arrival of a new mascot, Yuppie. The 1979 Expos were a mixture of young, homegrown players on the verge of stardom and savvy veterans acquired through trades and free agency that seemed to blend perfectly. There was the outfield of Warren Cromartie, Andre Dawson, and Ellis Valentine, who could all hit, run, and throw with the best of them. Behind the plate, there was Gary Carter, who at 25 was establishing himself as one of the best catchers in the game. Third baseman Larry Parrish, also 25, was set to emerge as a team leader. At times during the season, Parrish seemed to carry the Expos all by himself. Offensively, he led the team with a .307 average and 30 home runs and was named the Expos Player of the Year. Four Expos, Parrish, Valentine, Carter, and Dawson, all had over 20 home runs. And those four, plus veteran first baseman Tony Perez, each drove in more than 70 runs. It was a balanced, almost devastating offensive attack. Defensively, the Expos were strong up the middle, with Carter behind the plate, Chris Spire at short, Rodney Scott at second, and Andre Dawson in center. To go along with the offense and defense, the Expos had an excellent pitching staff, led by the spaceman Bill Lee. Acquired from Boston in the offseason, Lee used a variety of off-speed pitches to post a 16-10 record. Right-hander Steve Rogers won 13 and led the team with 13 complete games and 5 shutouts. Ross Grimsley, a 20-game winner in '78, was one of 4 other Expos to win 10 games, a group that included youngsters Dan Schatzsitter and David Palmer, while another youngster, Scott Sanderson, won 9. Woody Fryman and Elias Sosa anchored the bullpen. It was the weather and the Pittsburgh Pirates that did the Expos in '79. Between the 15th and 24th of September, they had to play 6 doubleheaders. They split 4 of them, and that was probably the difference. That and the fact they just couldn't beat the Pirates. Pittsburgh was the only team the Expos had a losing record against. And after losing 3 out of 4 to the Pirates in Pittsburgh, the Expos returned home for the final weekend, needing to win 2 out of 3 from the Phillies to have a chance at first. Dave Cash's game-winning hit Saturday sent it down to the wire. The Sunday finale matched Steve Rogers against Steve Carlton. Both brilliant, but Carlton was better, allowing just 3 hits while striking out 12 as the Phillies shut out the Expos 2-0. The Expos wound up with 95 wins and finished 2 games behind the eventual world champion Pirates. It was a performance that thrilled the city and attracted over 2.1 million fans to the Olympic Stadium. And with the core of the team in the 20s, the Expos seemed poised to dominate the 80s.
And people who are not playing the game are sitting on the bench and they're not doing much. They're watching, yelling once in a while for a teammate, and that gives you something to do.
Chew it, 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 baby. Oh, it's got a mouth full of such sweet things to say. Chew it, 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 baby. Chew is full of sugar, and I love it that way.
During the course of a game, I'll put a chew in, and for maybe about a half hour, and then I'll spit that out, and then I'll chew a piece of gum for a while, and then I'll go to the seed, and then I'll go back to the tobacco. It's like a cycle.
I think that it goes back many years to where it was something to do, and years ago, coaches didn't want people to drink much water, and it kept your mouth moist, and it just became a habit, and it just carried on through the ages.
Well, I just put it in my mouth, and I started to chew it, and once I get the sugar out, I don't like the sugar, so I just spit the sugar out, and just use the gum to keep me, I guess my nerves will keep me relaxed. It's good.
I love to chew sunflower seeds, the salt, I need something for the anxiety towards the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. And I gave up tobacco chewing a number of years ago, and now I've got into sunflower seeds, and now I'm into chewing gum. So I got to have something in my mouth when the tension gets a little bit greater.
You just grab it, and I just break off a piece. Doesn't matter how much, but like since it's BP, it's going to be a while, I got a pretty good hunk here. And I like to chew it on the right side, so.
But when you're chewing, everybody knows it because it's like that.
There you go. And I just leave it there and chew it and moisten it up until all the flavor is gone.
I certainly wouldn't recommend the chewing of tobacco or the dipping of snuff as far as the public goes.
I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, but sunflower seeds with the salt and the retention of water and everything, I still love them, but I'm trying to stay away from them for a while anyway.
I got some for you.
All right. See how strong I am? I can look at them and just throw them away.
For Expos Summer '88, how about I buy the whole team some mints?
Mints would be good.
I'm Lou Hennessian.
Coming up, from Army brat to second sacker, Tom Foley. Tom Foley, the Expos' left-hand hitting second baseman, has proven to be a steady performer, both in the field and at the plate. He's also a young man whose attitude and upbringing seem perfect for a ball player. Tom Foley, now into his 7th season in the majors and playing for his 3rd big league team, had a pretty good grounding for the nomadic life of a pro ball player, growing up as an Army brat.
My dad was in the service for 21 years. He's been in the Army, and we ended up in Miami, Florida, and that's where my home is now. But we were in Japan for 4 years, Hawaii for a year, France for a year, Texas, Georgia, California. So we've been around a lot of places, and you know, when I got into baseball in the minor leagues, doing a lot of traveling really didn't bother me that much.
Foley lived in Japan from the time he was 6 until he was 10 years old. It was there that he first started to play baseball, and his early heroes were Japanese stars like home run king Sadahara O.
I had a real good time. In fact, I've got nothing but good memories about Japan. Of course, now it's a little bit more expensive, I hear. But when we were over there, it wasn't that expensive, and lived on an army base, and it was just growing up as kids, you remember a lot of things. I think Sadahara O, if I'm pronouncing his name right, was the man that, you know, was a big name over there, and had all those home runs. And I went to see him play one day against the San Francisco Giants, and Juan Marichal was pitching, and he hit a home run off of Juan Marichal. And in fact, I caught a foul ball in batting practice, and I left it under my seat when we left the game. But that is the person that I probably remember most growing up as a kid, would be that Japanese player, Sadahara O.
Another interesting thing about Tom Foley is that while he throws a baseball right-handed, he is a natural lefty.
My dad was right-handed, and I do everything left-handed except throw a baseball and bowl. And I would just pick his glove up. Whenever I'd go to a game and he'd take me with him, I'd pick it up and I'd start throwing with my right hand. And it just came out that way.
Have you ever thought about playing the other way? I guess you wouldn't be able to play the positions you play if you
Right.
stayed left-handed either, would you?
I've thrown batting practice left-handed before in AAA in Denver a couple of times, but other than that, I don't think so, because the next day, I guess for about a week, my left arm would kill me. So I'm not used to it, and yet, I can throw a football I want left-handed, but I can't throw a baseball that good.
Despite twice being tabbed to be the starting shortstop in Cincinnati in 1985 and Philadelphia in '86 before injuries cost him his chance, Foley has been primarily a backup middle infielder. Foley has a near-perfect attitude for a ball player. He works hard, has confidence in himself, and is able to leave whatever happens at the ballpark at the ballpark.
Once I step out of the locker room, that's it. I was in Cincinnati, and I was 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, made 2 errors, and cost us 4 runs, and we lost 6-4. And I walked out of the locker room and saw my son and my wife, and, I put a smile on my face. Next day in the paper, it says, Foley's blunders buries Reds, in big, bold letters in the sporting page. And my wife goes, hey, we got to cut this out and put it in our scrapbook. But, that's the way we look at it. It's over with, and it happened, and I gave my 100% that night, and it didn't work out.
But it has worked out well for Foley since joining the Expos. He has done the job both with the glove and the bat. In fact, his top offensive seasons have been as an Expo, though he admits he isn't quite in the class of a Tim Raines.
Tim Raines is regular day, every day. For him, it's an average day. I'm going to get up there and get a couple base hits. I'm going to steal a base, score a run, make a great catch here or there. That's an everyday, average day for him. For us, that's playing unconscious. I mean, that's just going out there and having a great day. And, I always said Tim Raines is a boring player. You know what he's going to do every day. For the rest of us, we come out and it's exciting because you got to guess what we're going to do.
Cooper's Coach's Corner with Bobby Wingles.
There's a misconception in baseball that whenever a guy gets about done with his playing or he can't do much else, they stick him at first base. Nothing could be further from the truth. Playing this base right here is a very difficult job. After all, nobody throws the ball perfect all the time, and when they throw you a throw that's not right at you, you have to use very good footwork in order to make the plays. I'm going to show you the way that most first basemen do it in the big league. Number one, they put one foot on the bag. Whether it is their right or their left does not matter. And then they stand up, and then they shift to wherever the ball is thrown. If the ball is thrown over there, they shift there and get it. If the ball is thrown to the right, they shift over there and get it. They do not step straight ahead and then hope that it's a good throw, because you have to be very agile to play first base. The two best first basemen in the National League are Andres Galarraga and Keith Hernandez. And you watch them play and you'll see two very fine athletes. Another thing on a low throw. When you get a low throw, don't slap at the ball. When you get a low throw at first base, you let the ball come into the glove. A lot of times, a first baseman sees the ball coming into him, it hits the dirt, hits the glove, it goes like that, and the ball flies out. Where if he would have just caught it, do not slap at the ball. On throwing to second base, a very important thing. If you're a newcomer just starting to play, may I suggest this. When you get the ball, you catch it, you pivot on your right foot, step to second base, and throw. These are some of the points that we feel are important in playing first base, but we also feel it is a very tough position to play. Oh, that's it. If you step straight and the ball is off, and that one was, you can't get to it. If you watch Galarraga play, he'll stand up here in a relaxed position. He will step to where the ball is going to go, and when you talk about Galarraga, you're talking about the best. Do it again. That's the way. See, you always step out, but you always just kind of stand up straight when you play first. Well, that's all for Coach's Corner now, but next week we'll be back, and we're going to talk to the middle infielders again on how to catch a ball backhand and make an overhand throw, and how to catch the slow hit ball and make a sidearm throw. And these are two things that all youngsters need to know.
Dale Murphy, like most members of the Atlanta Braves, has struggled through a dismal '88 campaign. But Murphy, one of the game's genuine superstars, remains, whether struggling or not, one of the game's nicest guys. Only 4 players in National League history have won back-to-back Most Valuable Player awards. Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves was the last one to do it. Murphy makes his home right here at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, but he spends more time off the field than on. He is, you see, the guy that just can't say no. A Man Who Can't Say No, that is the title of the article Peter Gammons wrote on Dale Murphy in Sports Illustrated's '87 Sportsman of the Year issue. Murphy was one of 8 men and women labeled Athletes Who Care, who shared the award. The fact that Murphy represented Major League Baseball is no surprise. Just trying to list his public service involvement boggles the mind. Still, the Braves right fielder says he wishes he could do more.
There's no way that really realistically that you can do all the requests that you have. You know, I have had opportunities where I couldn't do things, but I've tried to say yes as much as possible and help others. And that award was certainly something that I'll cherish my whole life. But I really feel like I was just representing a whole bunch of baseball players that do what I do. You know, I accepted that on behalf of them. There's a lot of guys out there that don't get the publicity, that are doing a lot of good in their community.
Murphy doesn't do what he does for publicity. In fact, many of Murphy's good deeds are never written about. He does it because he believes we should help others.
I think it's one of the duties. I think everybody, you know, has a certain responsibility to do some volunteer work or some kind to help others. And certainly as an athlete, as a professional athlete, you have a chance to do some things, or sometimes just lend your name to a group that can generate some publicity and help in some way as an athlete. So it's part of my duty. Everybody's here for a specific purpose. Everybody has talents and abilities, and to use them to help one another. That's why we're here, and that's what we're taught.
On the day we interviewed Murphy at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, he was taping yet another public service announcement, this one concerning mental health. His incredible array of off-field activities has not affected his on-field performance. In the last 6 seasons, he has missed just 5 games. He has hit 198 home runs, 3rd highest in the majors, and driven in 629 runs, tops in the major leagues.
To me, he's a Hall of Famer on the field, and he's a Hall of Famer off the field. If anybody's perfect in this world, I would tell you, not as a baseball player, but as a person, I would tell you that it's Dale Murphy. And plus, I really think that he's the best right fielder in the league, and I feel that he's one of the most important parts of any team on any ball club. He had an MVP year last year, and he will go to the Hall of Fame.
For Dale Murphy, potential Hall of Famer and truly nice guy, it all goes back to his childhood and the people he admires most, his parents.
I look back now in my life, and I felt the love and concern they had for me, but without the pressures as to doing certain things or getting involved in baseball as much as they want me. They let me make my decisions and what I wanted to get involved in. It happened to be this, and I'm sure they enjoy it, but they were supportive of my sister and the things that she wanted to achieve, as well as one of their son that wanted to play professional baseball. So I appreciate that, and that example is set for me.
Expos Flashback, brought to you by Petro-Canada's Play Ball program, celebrating the Expos' 20th anniversary.
1980 was the first year the Expos were actually expected to win. And why not? They had come within 2 games of the Pirates in '79. They were young and looked even stronger this year. In the offseason, they had acquired outfielder Ron LaFleur from the Detroit Tigers to give them more speed. And he did that, stealing a league-leading 97 bases to become the first player to lead both leagues in steals. Second baseman Rodney Scott swiped 63 as he and LaFleur set a record for most stolen bases by teammates. The Expos ran roughshod over the opposition, stealing 237 bases in all. With LaFleur taking over in left field, Warren Cromartie shifted to first base, filling the Expos' needs there admirably. Crow hit 14 home runs and drove in 70, both career highs, while playing in all 162 games. The Expos really started rolling in June. They won 10 in a row, and pitching was the key. Young Scott Sanderson, in just his second season, matched Steve Rogers for the team lead with 16 victories. 22-year-old David Palmer, despite missing all of spring training and being disabled in July, was 8-6 with a 2.98 earned run average. And rookie Bill Gullickson was 10-5 and on September 10th set a rookie record by striking out 18 Cubs. In the bullpen, ageless Woody Fryman won 7 and saved 17, while Stan Bonson appeared in 57 games, winning 7 and saving 4. In mid-September, the Expos' hopes suffered a major setback when Ron LaFleur broke his wrists. But Jerry White took over in the outfield, and the Expos shut out the Pirates, leaving the Phillies as their main challenger. The title would be decided in a 6-game home-and-home series the final 10 days of the season. The Expos went into Philadelphia a half game out of first and lost the first game 2-1 on Bake McBride's home run. But on Saturday, Gary Carter hit his 27th home run of the year as the Expos and Scott Sanderson beat Steve Carlton 4-3. On Sunday, Carter did it again, connecting this time for home runs number 28 and 29 as the Expos won 8-3 to move a half game ahead. Carter would finish with 29 home runs and 101 RBIs to lead all Major League catchers and capture his 3rd Expos Player of the Year award. It all came down to the final weekend in Montreal, with the two tied for first entering a 3-game series. The Phillies won the opener 2-1, so the Expos had to win Saturday. Over 50,000 on hand, and they saw Jerry White put the Expos in front with his 6th home run of the year. But the Phillies came back and tied it. They went to the 11th inning, tied at 4, when Mike Schmidt took Stan Bonson over the wall for his 48th home run of the year and a 6-4 Phillies lead. Tug McGraw made it stand up by striking out Larry Parrish to clinch the title for Philadelphia. For the second year, the Expos would lose out to the eventual World Series champions. The Expos and their fans, while disappointed, were still optimistic about the future.
Celebrating the Expos' 20th anniversary.
1981 began amid high hopes. After all, the Expos had battled down to the wire the past 2 seasons before losing out to the eventual world champions. And they were stronger this year. They added speed by bringing up Tim Raines from Denver, giving them more offensive balance to go along with their pitching and defense. Since most of the team had been involved in pennant races the past 2 seasons, they knew what it would take to win. And they got off to a quick start, winning 8 in a row at home to begin the season. They posted a 12-4 record in April, best in the National League. Their pitching was outstanding. On May 10th, young right-hander Charlie Lee tossed a no-hitter at the San Francisco Giants, beating them 4-0 in the second game of a doubleheader, to join Bill Stoneman as the only Expo pitchers to hurl no-hitters. Lee threw the first no-hitter ever at the Olympic Stadium. On May 29th, the Expos acquired reliever Jeff Reardon from the New York Mets for talented but temperamental outfielder Ellis Valentine. The Expos struggled through May and early June, dropping 21 of 36 games and losing their hold on first place. But they got back on track, sweeping 3 from the Atlanta Braves. Steve Rogers completing the sweep with a 7-0 shutout on June 11th. The next day, baseball went on strike. 7 weeks later, the season resumed on August the 12th, and the Expos flew out of the gate in the second half. With rookie Tim Raines leading the way on the base paths, they won 11 of their first 17 games, but they still trailed the first-place St. Louis Cardinals. On September 8th, the Expos fired Dick Williams and named Jim Fanning as manager. And under Gentleman Jim's use of the kids like Terry Francona, Tim Wallach, and reliever Jeff Reardon, the Expos started to climb. On September 13th, Tim Raines, who set a rookie record by stealing 71 bases, fractured his right hand sliding into home plate and was limited to pinch running duties for the rest of the season. Under Fanning, though, they won 7 straight at home to move into first place and headed to New York for the final weekend, 1 half game ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals. On Friday night, Andre Dawson belted his 24th home run of the year, and Steve Rogers fired a 2-hit shutout for his 12th win, 3-0 over the Mets. On Saturday, rookie Wallace Johnson's 2-run triple in the 7th, his second hit of the season, gave them a 5-4 lead, and Jeff Reardon made it stand up, saving his 8th game as the Expos took the second half title. 3 days later, they opened the playoffs against the Phillies in Montreal, where Steve Rogers and Jeff Reardon combined to beat the Phils 3-1. The next day, Gary Carter supplied the offense with a 2-run homer, and Jeff Reardon saved his second straight. Expos again winning 3-1. And it was on to Philadelphia, needing just one more win to capture their first title. But the Phillies won the next 2 games, 2-1 and 6-5, and set up the deciding 5th game. It was Rogers against Carlton. Rogers took matters into his own hands with a 2-run single in the 5th, then went the distance to shut out the Phillies 3-0. So the Expos squared off against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. The team split the first 4 games, taking it down to the decisive 5th game Monday, October the 19th. Ray Burris, winner of Game 2 against Fernando Valenzuela. Andre Dawson's double play ball scored Tim Raines with the first run. But Fernando himself tied it with a single of his own, and it stayed that way, tied at 1. Then Jim Fanning brought in Steve Rogers to pitch the 9th inning, and Rick Mundy greeted him with a home run to center field. The Dodgers led 2-1. The Expos loaded the bases in the bottom of the 9th, but couldn't score. They came that close to the World Series. Rick Mundy, Monday afternoon home run, the blow that was the difference. The Expos entered the 1982 season as the defending National League East champions. They had come within one swing of the bat of being in the World Series, and they were out to make it all the way this year. On March 31st, they acquired left-hand hitting veteran Al Oliver from the Texas Rangers for Larry Parrish and Dave Hostetler. Oliver would give them the left-handed bat in the middle of the order they had long been seeking, and he provided everything they were looking for. Winning the batting title with a .331 average, hitting 22 home runs, and topping the league in RBIs with 109. Scoop, as he was nicknamed, became the first Expo to collect 200 hits and the first Expos batting champion. And Oliver wasn't the Expos' only offensive threat. Catcher Gary Carter won another Gold Glove behind the plate while hitting .293 with 29 home runs and 97 RBIs. Andre Dawson, the Expos Player of the Year in '81, hit .301 with 23 homers and 83 RBIs while stealing 39 bases. Tim Wallach, who took over at third for Larry Parrish, was the National League Player of the Month in May and finished his first full season with 28 home runs and 97 RBIs. Tim Raines picked up right where he left off in '81, stealing 78 bases as the Expos offense was in high gear. The highlight of the year was the All-Star Game, held at the Olympic Stadium, the first time ever outside the United States. The Expos had 5 players on the National League squad. 4, Steve Rogers, Gary Carter, Andre Dawson, and Tim Raines in the starting lineup. They were joined by Al Oliver. Over 59,000 on hand for the big night. Steve Rogers was the winner as the Nationals beat the Americans 4-1. 1982 was Steve Rogers' best year ever. He won 19 and lost 8, posted a 2.40 earned run average, and finished second to Steve Carlton in the Cy Young voting. Rogers anchored a tremendous starting staff that included 12 game winners Bill Gullickson, Scott Sanderson, and Charlie Lee. In the bullpen, 42-year-old Woody Fryman won 9 and saved 12, while Jeff Reardon won 7 and saved 26. But despite the solid pitching and explosive offense, the Expos could not catch the St. Louis Cardinals. Though they gave it a good shot, they won 22 of 30 during one stretch in May and June. But their hopes suffered a huge setback on June 16th when Terry Francona went to the left field wall in St. Louis to make a catch and tore up his knee. At the time, batting second in the lineup behind Raines, he was hitting .321. The Expos spent the rest of the season searching for a solid second-place hitter. As a one-game highlight, you have to look at Chris Spire's performance on September 22nd when he delivered a bases-loaded triple his first time up, a bases-loaded 2-run single in his second at-bat, and capped things off with a 3-run homer, 8 RBIs in the game, a team record. Spire had 60 runs batted in for the year. After closing to within 2 games of first place in mid-September, they proceeded to lose 5 straight, and that knocked them out of contention. They finished the season with 86 victories and wound up in 3rd place, 6 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals.